Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to Arm Yourself for Fit and Faithful Living. We are in our 4th week. Woohoo!
Yes. So this is the 4th free video that we're going to be doing today. And we are excited because this is all about nutrition.
Yeah.
The most exciting one because it affects us so much.
Absolutely, Sarah.
Yes. So we hope that you have your book here. If you don't, it's okay. You may also have your what do you call it? Kindle book.
Your Kindle book.
So if you have, or you read your phone or whatever. So we are going to start. The most important thing that I tell clients constantly is that 80% of our health is nutrition. And you'll read that in the book as well.
Yes.
And some people even say 85% of our health is nutrition. And that is very true. And I would believe that as well. But most of the things I've studied is 80%, which means 20% is for everything else. And when we exercise, most people put 80% of their effort into exercise.
Absolutely.
And maybe 5% into health.
We got a little mixed up there, Sarah.
Yeah. And so if this is one area that if we could fix it, it would transform your entire life. Because when you feel good and you're eating healthy, it's like all these other things.
The spirit, soul, body thing. Yep.
When I am not, like I had the influenza a couple weeks ago. It looked really bad.
You did not look good, Sarah.
But you're better today. Yeah. And but it's like life stops. It's debilitating and it holds you hostage. So when you're not feeling well, when you're not up to par, it's like things stop. And when mom stops, the whole house stops. So it doesn't even affect you. It affects everybody else. So that's why it's so important to keep healthy. And especially if you're a mother or a spouse or someone who you are helping in the house with other people and you have dependents, this is a huge
Everybody's
thing.
depending on you.
Yes.
And
you know what? Jesus is too, right?
That's
and
right.
Your calling. So you have to be fit and faithful to continue in your walk. Yes. So we are going to jump into this and we are just going to go after it.
We are, and we're recording this for those of you who might not be able to get on today. We're just going to pop it up in the group and you'll be able just to watch this. But we've got great material here. We hope that you are doing great as you're going into week 4. I hope you all are staying accountable with your buddy or partner that you have. And for those that have taken this into the church, we just bless that would just be beautiful and increasing in the church and in the women that you're touching, and that we can get the mindset and we can get the health and the body all lined up here for you for 2018 to take this in a whole new way. Yes.
So nutrition. The first thing that I wanted to say, and Kate and I briefly talked before we got on too, is there are so many times that we don't listen.
Right. It's so true.
You guys, we don't listen. So the analogy would be is if you went into the doctor's office and you said, oh, my back hurts and that, I'm getting wrinkles at a really fast rate and I'm not feeling well. I don't remember things. My eyesight's going. You list all these, ailments that you have. Right. And it would be like, Kate, if I'm telling you all these things and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, what time is it? I got to go. Right. And then we're out the door and we don't really even listen to what the doctor's telling us. And maybe we know, oh, they're just going to say that I'm, getting old, and out the door we go and on to the next thing. And so we can apply this with so many things, especially our relationship with God. When we're on our knees, we're praying, we're having that time with God. We're like, pray for so-and-so, my kids, my husband, my business, my work, my job, oh, I got to go. And you're out of there. We're not really having that intimate relationship with God.
Right.
Then we are going to suffer. And that's such a huge part of health. So we can tell you all these great things as coaches. So if you're not listening to God, you're not listening to the doctor, you're not listening to any coaches or mentors in your life, that's a big no-no.
You're having a breakdown.
Yeah.
You're having a spiritual and physical breakdown because listening is such a huge part of how we connect with God, how we connect what our body's telling us, and how we connect mentally to the health and having a renewed mind that God has given us. And so as we talk about nutrition today, this is all spirit, soul, and body. This whole Arm Yourself for Fit and Faithful Living is all about spirit, soul, and body. And when they are moving together hand in hand, you're going to be rolling out an amazing 2018 for your life, being fit and faithful.
And maybe 2019.
And 2020.
And so on. That's right. It doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
Right. So today, when we are going through just the book, we're going to go through lots of things and talk about things. And if you guys have questions, even at post video, if you have questions, just pop them in there in the Facebook group and we'll talk about them. Because you might not think of things until later as well. There is tons of material and resources in the book. That's why I put that in there. I tried to be as graphic as possible in explaining some of these basic concepts. And it's funny because my daughter, who's 17, she's a junior at high school, she is taking a college class and it's nutrition.
Wow, that's
I
cool.
know. So she's really excited. But this is one thing she emailed me this morning when she was in class, because she has a study hall and she takes it via the internet. And so she's sitting there at study hall and she's listening to this instructor and she emails me, Mom, she goes, now I get why you love nutrition. She goes, because when we have all the sugar, it destroys us. It doesn't just give us fat. It destroys us. It's so bad for our heart. And I'm like, yes, honey. This is why. She goes, I know, but I get why. She goes, wouldn't it be fabulous if they actually taught nutrition to kids? Like in health class, like in PE.
What a difference that it makes.
She goes, Mom, just think if they actually taught it to us. She goes, I'm taking this just for college. But she's like, here, I could have lived a healthier life. She goes, I know I have you, but she goes, now I understand why at a deeper level. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, I know. We wouldn't be talking like this and having to write all these books and things if they truly just taught it in the schools. It would be, gone would be, well, maybe not gone, but child obesity would be reduced a little bit if they really talked about it and understood why.
And it's a huge problem. And as moms or grandmas, we get this special love when we bake cookies and we do all these wonderful things that have all these sugars, and our grandkids come and our kids come, and it's almost like a therapy for us because sugar can be like a drug. I know when I first went into my very serious mode of really removing sugars out of my life, I was literally, Sarah, angry, and hungry at the same time for 2 weeks. And I was not the nicest person to be around. I could not believe how much sugar had a control on the inside of me. And now that I pretty much live a sugar-free life, pretty much, and I'm pretty strong because I can feel how it pulls me down, it just brings so much clarity even to the way I think. So we talk the mental, the physical, spiritual part. It plays a huge part.
Yeah, definitely. And
God's word is sweet. And so we can eat upon that. Yes. That's
right. So there's lots of options that we can take in exchange for sugar. An example would be fruit, right? Fruit is a huge. Now, some people have issues with artificial sugars. Stevia still is one of the main ones that are natural. There are many different ways that they process stevia. So you can buy a bad stevia. But for the most part, that's usually, it doesn't affect people as much. Some people may still have an aftertaste or they don't like it.
Right.
But it doesn't really mess. And when I say that, I mean like down in your gut, right? If you had Equal or Splenda, some of these other things, aspartame is a huge one. If you really think about it and listen to your body and your gut, then you will know that, it probably isn't doing what I want it to. It tastes good here, but maybe not, in your tummy. Right. And some people, they've had it forever, their whole life. And so they're just, you know what? I just have stomach issues. And it could be something as simple as removing an artificial sweetener from your diet.
Yeah.
My husband used to drink regular Mountain Dew, and his doctor's like, cut it out. He holds his body well. He's still young and in our 40s, and so he can hold it well. But that doesn't mean that the fat around your heart and lungs and everything, it's still a detriment to your health. Even if it's not super huge, it's still around your organs, which is a cause for concern. Well, his doctor said, you need to lose some pounds. So he switched to diet. He did lose a lot of his weight. He automatically did. It was amazing. I think it was 40 pounds.
Wow.
And you could see it in his face and things, but he still has some girth to him. But my concern is he's had some stomach issues. And of course, I'm thinking, if that's the only thing you've changed in your diet, maybe the amount of aspartame that is in your body. Now, you will find people who will say, aspartame, not a big deal, especially if you go to aspartame.com, it will tell you that there's no controversy. Now, if you go to a third party, they will tell you differently. If you go to a naturopath, if you go to a natural medicine doctor, if you go to an MD who's holistic, they will all tell you, get away from aspartame. So if there is that much controversy over one type of artificial sweetener, then maybe it's not a good choice, right?
Right.
So stevia doesn't have that much controversy. It's been over across the ocean. People have used it for hundreds of years, and it's more of the safe option. It comes from a plant, and it's not as processed. So you could take it or leave it with those artificial sweeteners. I try to take none of them if at all possible, but I do have stevia. I do have raw stevia, and some that's also processed too. And I guess I could have brought those brands. We could talk about that later, because some people want to know where you get it, how, you know,
right.
And most of the time it's online or a health food store. So with that was kind of a tangent. That was free. That was extra.
Bonus.
That's your bonus, number one. Okay. As we start in this week, week 4, it's all about nutritional health. And the first thing that it talks about is our bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you can have a bank account anywhere. You can have a bank account at the bank. You can, there's all different kinds of blood banks, you know, different things.
Yeah.
But we're talking about our health. And when we invest in our health, it is so important, but you may not reap the benefits of your savings account till later. It takes time.
It takes time.
My daughter, when I had 5 of them, right? So one of them was going to give blood. And this is kind of funny. And she goes, Mom, I got to eat healthy these next 2 days because I'm going to give blood. I'm like, that is not going to do a hill of beans. She's like, why? I'm like, it takes a while for your body to process the food and store it. So if you were going to give blood and you took vitamins that day, well, it's not going to make that big of a difference. There's a time frame for metabolizing your food. So let's say you have a allergic or maybe you're lactose intolerant. Okay. So let's say you're lactose intolerant and you decide to drink milk. You might feel it right away, right?
Right.
And maybe I don't know I have a lactose intolerance, okay? And so I drink milk, but I'm also drinking artificial sweeteners and all these things. My tummy just, doesn't feel good. And so I'm like, you have maybe I should try and see if I have a lactose intolerant issue like Kate. So I stopped drinking milk for a day, but I still have a tummy issue. It's not milk. I'm going to try artificial sweeteners. Nope. Milk can take up to 3 days to leave your system.
Wow.
Right?
So cool.
So some people will give up so fast, and then here they think, well, I'm not lactose intolerant. And here you might be. Wow. But we're too fast, we're impatient. And so there's things that take a long time to leave our body. Like mercury really doesn't, right? So we have to be careful. Don't eat too much shrimp. But those are things that you just learn over time or talk to your doctor or research, because sometimes it takes a while for those things to actually leave our body. Alcohol may only take a couple hours. Caffeine may affect us for 6 up to 8 hours, depending. I mean, there's lots of these things that go through our body and our system. We can speed the process up by drinking lots of water, which would be great if you're giving blood, but taking vitamins is like a bank account. Yeah. It is over time. It's that savings that's going to save you in the long run. Right. We can't expect a savings account to just grow overnight for the most part.
We're making good deposits.
You've got to make good deposits.
You've got to make those good deposits.
Yes.
Yeah, what you put in. Yeah. It's going to make a difference in how you feel, how you think. Myself being a grandmother and, older than Sarah, clarity is a huge piece for women going through menopause. And I'm past that now. But when I was in that's a huge fog. And when I began to take sugars out of my diet, I immediately began to have change, probably within a week, Sarah, that I could begin to feel clarity of mind coming back. Because during menopause, I wanted to feed myself with sugar because I wanted energy, because I didn't have any energy. And that was I was finding myself falling asleep during the middle of the day. I never have done that. But as soon as I removed the sugar, I had my energy back. It wasn't an energy drink. It wasn't an energy pill. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was just eating green and eating healthy and putting the proteins and things in my body that I needed.
And, you had said it took a couple weeks for you to get out of that system of feeling that hangry. 2 weeks. You're angry, you're hungry. Yeah. And that's that emotional eating that happens to us because we feel like, you know what, that food tastes good. I'm going to eat it.
I am deprived.
Yes.
I am so deprived. I can't stand this.
Yes. Or you worked out today, go have a Whitey's shake.
That's right.
You deserve it.
I deserve it. I deserve a break today.
Yes, yeah. But we do that all the time.
Yeah.
And then that's our problem.
Right.
We reward ourselves with food. And that's a number one thing that we really should never do, is reward ourselves with food on a consistent basis. You know, one time if you say, hey, Kate, you made it to the gym 3 times this week, Tom should take you out for dinner. Yes. That's a great reward. Now, if he said, hey, you worked out today, let's go out for dinner. You worked out today, let's go out for Whitey's. You worked out today, let's go get donuts, right? That's too much reward. It's focused on food instead of something else. It could be, let's go to a movie.
Right.
Let's eat hard-boiled eggs before we go so we don't eat the popcorn.
Or drink the water, yeah.
Yeah. Just take a water in your purse, or fill it up there if you can't bring it in,
That's right?
Yeah. Or just, you know, have gum or something instead of, because we have this mentality that we have to chew all the time. And that's why sometimes if there's smoothies and, you know, people drink their food all the time, they lose that desire to chew. And sometimes that is a good thing. There's like smoothie challenges out there where they can say, okay, for 3 days, I'm going to go no hard, coarse, porous food. And then you take that out. Yeah. Right? Do you find yourselves just eating? If you have this as a habit, maybe you should try something else. And liquid food is good. You're not going to have any hard stools for a couple days, but you want to get this habit out. Right. So that's the easy thing.
That's great, Sarah.
At the beginning of this, there was a 2-week nutrition health challenge. Now, the thing that I liked about this challenge is A through Z basically are 1 through 24, and it can tell you all the different things, like you know, drink more water, eat more vegetables, but it doesn't just say eat more. It says eat 5 servings, eat 12 servings. Right. So it's specific. So whatever your
measurable.
Measurable, yeah. Right. So whatever that is, measure it. Don't just say, I'm going to eat more vegetables. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Right. I'm going to pray more. What does that mean? Yeah. Is there a time frame for that? Yeah. Yeah.
Or we don't really put it in there, we're not going to really do it. That's the key. It's being specific and being measurable. As coaches, we talk about these with SMART goals, and it's attainable. If you can have a measure to it, you'll be able to attain it, and it'll be relative to what you want. One of the things that Tom and I have done is that when we buy our vegetables at the grocery store, and another little key, if you've ever noticed, all the healthy things in a grocery store are on the outside edges. Nothing on the inside of the grocery store is actually very good for you. So all the fresh stuff is usually on the outer edge. So when we would go to the produce section and grab all of the vegetables and things that we wanted, we would immediately come home, clean it and cut it, and have about like 10 bags of Ziploc veggies all ready to go. That's half the battle, because it's easy to pull it out, eat it, measure it out, a cup or whatever you want to do. And, even that used to bother me. It used to bug me to think, I don't want to measure this stuff out. But you know what? Once you do it a few times, you don't have to do it anymore, because you know what that amount actually looks like. But being prepared is the key. It's the key to everything in life, is being prepared spiritually, physically, mentally, relationally, all that. So it's a big piece to what we're talking about today.
And they even made lazy man's vegetables that you can buy them all pre-cut. Yes. So really, it's more
mashed
expensive.
Cauliflower.
Yeah. I do like the rice cauliflower.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. You can even buy that frozen, so you don't even have to make it. It is actually a challenge to make rice cauliflower. Have you made it?
Yes, it's not fun. No, but you can buy it, and it's wonderful.
It is wonderful. And if you can't buy it fresh, frozen is best, then canned. And with the canned vegetables, make sure you get something that says BPA liner free. That's going to not have all what do you call it? That stuff that's on the inside that can taint your food. I know Libby's has non-BPA liners, and that's what I get. So I know there's more out there, but just food for thought. Yeah, food for thought. There you go. That's good. So continue with that nutrition challenge. If you haven't even started it, don't feel bad. You can start at any time. It's any time. So that's on page 37, just in case you overlooked that when you were going through it. So if we're going on through this book, there is a thing in the back called the treasure chest. And that treasure chest has meal planning step number 1. And this is probably the main thing that I do when I track with clients. We talk about, what are you consuming? That is the easiest thing. When you pinpoint that, then you kind of know what your problem is. And we can take this a step spiritual. When you're consuming, you know, the Bible says when we're whatever we consume, whatever in our heart is going to come out of our mouth, right? So whatever comes in our body is going to come out, right? And, or it's going to attach itself to us.
Right.
If we're not using the good fuel, right? So whatever's going in, we need to make sure that think about it as refueling your body, right? If you're like, okay, are you going to put junky gasoline, the cheapest watered down stuff that you can find into your brand new Cadillac? Probably not, right? Are you going to put oil that has grime and dirt in it? No. And our bodies are the most amazing thing that God has created on this earth, enough for Jesus to come and die for us. And we treat our bodies not holy.
That's right.
We do so many things. We all do. We all are guilty. If it's not consuming something, it's being jealous, it's lying, it's stealing, it's cheating, it's doing all these things that we're told not to do. And it's like, you know, in the Bible, it's like, I'm trying not to do it, but I do it. But I'm trying not to do it, but I do it.
I do what I don't want to do.
I don't do what I want to do.
That's right.
Right? So we're all in this together. We're all making these decisions. So if I can help, you know, not put certain things in my mouth because I've trained my body to do that, I'm still in other areas trying to train my body to do something else, like not compare to other women. So we all have these things that we're working on. And so this week it's nutrition. Okay, so if we flip to the back of the book, if you have your book with me, if not, I'm just going to kind of talk you through some of this because this is super exciting. If you can grasp this, I'm going to throw some little things in there as we go. The number one thing it tells you in the back is to record your 20 most eaten foods. And it's a simple thing. So if you can identify what your 20 foods are, the ones you eat the most, and on the next page, 288, I tell you what my 20 main foods are. These are the foods that you eat on a normal week or within a normal month. Natural. You are just going to go to it. So Kate, what are some things that you eat on a natural basis? So if I have, you know, you can have vegetables and fruits and different things, but like, what do you typically have for breakfast?
I usually have a protein shake, or I have egg whites with vegetables. I just do. I'm not like a huge breakfast person, so grabbing a protein bar or a protein shake. A coffee and a water is usually how I start my day.
Okay. And so then take me through, do you have a snack in between that?
I do. And then I have a snack mid-morning.
And what's that typically?
Typically it is usually maybe like a clementine, or I might even grab some celery sticks, put some peanut butter on them, or I might have another protein bar or something like that.
Okay. And then what do you do for lunch typically?
Typically what I do for lunch is I have a salad, and I use all vinegars and oils on my salads. I don't buy salad dressings. I just use vinegar and oils, and I just put a lot of veggies on it, and I just usually eat that. And I don't put meat or anything like that, and I just have just the veggies.
Okay. And then do you have a snack before dinner?
Then I have an afternoon mid snack, which I'll do, you know, some type of a protein bar, or with a fruit or some almonds, or, you know, I like cranberries. I'll do some cranberries. I know they have some sugar in them, but I don't do a lot. I'll do different types of nuts that I really like. And I don't know, our bags are always full, usually in the refrigerator with veggies. And because I've kind of trained myself to think differently, it's what I naturally go to. Now, my down thing that I love to get is vegetable chips, and they're not the best things in the world for you, but they're better than a potato chip. And I love just grabbing like a handful of those out when I'm making dinner, and I'm crunching, you know, it's a different texture, and it's a beet, and it's a carrot, and it's this and that. So I justify that. But, I just came back from a trip, and we had a dessert. We split every night together because it was special. We were gone. And
you deserved it.
And I never thought I deserved it. It's like, I don't make this stuff anymore. This is so good. And so, but you know, I only take a couple bites of it because I realize if I take more than that, I start feeling sluggish. And it's a horrible feeling when you really get the sugars out of your body. When you begin to feel that way again, you don't want to feel that way. And so it's not hard.
And you know, it's so, I heard this analogy once, and I use it all the time. That feeling that you just said, it's kind of like sin, right? So we'll have a little bit, there's this beautiful, delectable dessert. Kind of reminds me of like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You know, how that queen is like, ooh, come on, don't you want one? And you're like, yeah, I'm just going to take a little, you know. Oh, and a little, you know, we're all going to do. Sometimes we gorge. and then we feel guilty and we want to hide it, and we're so mad and we're shameful, right? Yeah. We hide it with great spandex, you guys. We can do that. But the point is it draws us in, and we're like, oh yeah, I'll just have a little, and then we're addicted.
Yeah.
You know,
and, little by little.
And that's how things are. Pornography or movies or music or books or trashy novels, right? It's like you open the door, and once that crack is open and you've taken a little, Satan gets his little foot in there, and he has a foothold, and he's holding that door open, and that door is not going to shut with his foot in there, right?
He's letting all his little demons run in with it.
All his little fucks are running right in there because the door is cracked open, right? And so that's when we can say, no, Satan, you don't have a foothold here. I am done with that.
And shut the door on the devil.
And that's why we have to be extremely connected with Christ and obeying the Holy Spirit and listening, like we talked about last week. It is so imperative, because you can be an overcomer. You can achieve full health.
You can do it.
Absolutely. It does not have to be, well, it's hereditary, or I have a disease, or I have this. No, you are more than a conqueror through Christ. Okay, so you have tools, and you can do this. And this is where you are active. Grab a coach, grab a mentor. Kate is a great life coach. So if there's something that's not nutrition or exercise related, and it's something that might be spiritually related, or maybe emotionally taxing, or mentally just stressed, use the resources that you have. It doesn't mean you need to sign up for 5 years. Maybe it's just a couple sessions just to get you on track. Or maybe it's to hire a trainer or somebody. And like she does online coaching, so then you can just pipe through. I do wellness coaching online as well, but more of my personal training is in the gym. Yeah, in the gym. So find a personal trainer, a counselor, somebody who's going to help you and raise you up and keep you accountable to those goals and those tools. And someone who is spirit-filled, who knows how to listen to the Holy Spirit and keep you accountable in that way. So key. So key.
It's the key. And the beauty of this is that Jesus was an amazing coach, Sarah. And if you look in the Bible, Jesus was always asking powerful questions. And coaching is not about teaching you anything. Coaching is about drawing out what the Holy Spirit has put on in the inside of you. It's about us listening. It's your agenda. And it's about you learning what God is wanting to reveal to you and moving you forward. Everything in the kingdom of God has a flow and has movement, and that's how life coaching is. It has a movement. It's taking you where you are to where you want to be, where God is taking you. What has God created you to be is the biggest question I hear from women. Oh, I wish I had more clarity. I wish I had more confidence. I wish I didn't have something. Do you know that 90% of women devalue themselves? 90%, the statistics say, devalue themselves. So we want our words to line up with God. And so it says that if we let deceitful speech out of our mouth, we actually are deceiving ourselves. But if we want to have good life and see long days, we want to speak words of life. And what we're talking about here is life. It's about, the spirit, soul, body thing that we've talked about, but health. And when we crave things, really, when we're craving specific things, we're really craving what God wants for us, and that is a spiritual food. So I have many clients in the arena of the marketplace and spiritual, as a spiritual success and life coach, is that one of the things I've heard them put into place, which has been beautiful, that every time they want to go to that refrigerator, they have an addiction to food, they struggle with that, Sarah, is that they drop on their knees and they pray. They pray for someone else that might be struggling with it. They pray for whoever God brings to their mind. Or I see a lot of them begin to quote a scripture, and then they begin to renew their mind as they quote the scripture. They're taking an action. But as far as arming yourself for fit and faithful living, you are going to grow leaps and bounds physically, spiritually, and emotionally and mentally if you get yourself a partner. Jesus said 2 is better than 1. And so we always want to have someone that's going to walk alongside of us in this. This is a great opportunity for anyone here to take this back to your churches. Start a group, find a partner, find a friend, and begin to live this out. Let this be your best year yet. 2018, let it be your best year yet.
And when you take this too, there's so many chapters in here that cover an array of our health. And if you find that, when you get to the mental section and you know that, after reading this, something's not right, that's an opportunity for you to maybe take a step and talk to a physician, a pastor, a counselor, a mentor. Or maybe you take another Bible study group and spawn from this because you realize, wow, we have a hot mess of some mental things going on in our church and we need to just take that a step farther. Or maybe you find out, hey, you know, a lot of us are dealing with jealousy. Maybe start another jealousy group and you would not have identified that. And so this book really is a tool. God gave this to me as just a tool to open up our lives and see, where am I struggling most? Because if I can fix that, or at least get a handle on that,
Right.
some of these other things in my life are going to just dissipate. And that's the whole reason for this.
Right.
So, okay, so going back, right?
Yes. And what's our time? We need to check it. Do you watch it?
I don't. Hold on. I'll go.
Okay. All right. I just thought about that.
12:30.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
We got 30 minutes.
No clocks in here. So when you make your list of 20 foods, okay, so you told me about breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. What do you typically have?
My dinner's a lean green. And so we always.
And what is that?
A lean green is, we always do 6 ounces of meat. If it's fish, beef, chicken, whatever, and sometimes pork. And then I usually roast my vegetables, Sarah. I really love roasted vegetables. And then I have a salad. And so I've got the vegetable meat and the salad. And sometimes I'll do a brown rice, or, you know, I go healthy grains is what I do. And so, yeah, and I've loved the whole cauliflower thing because we make it like it's mashed potatoes, right? I just don't put the sour cream in it anymore.
Oh, yeah. I think sour cream is okay.
It's probably okay. I mean, you can do it if you want to. But,
Yeah.
you know, but we doctor things up with lots of seasonings and things like that. I know the biggest thing I think with a big part of this is we always feel like what we're missing out. When you go into really getting serious about your health, it's like, oh, I don't get to have that anymore. I don't get to have that anymore. The truth is, it's what you get to have and what you get to do. And it's a mindset. And so we have these fixed mindsets in the way we relate to food. And those fixed mindsets keep us from the fullness of our health and feeling good, looking good, and keeping a clean temple with the Lord. And then we can have a growth mindset where we begin to look at things differently. And the minute we can change the way we think about things is the minute we begin to see change in every area of our life. Because if you could be struggling with your marriage, struggling mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, emotionally, relationally. If you are struggling in one of those areas, it's going to affect your health. And so we've got to ask ourselves these questions and see where that loophole is and see what we can do to begin to invest in ourselves to bring change.
And in the Bible, it talks about feasts. God loves food. He created food. He created us to love food, right?
Yeah.
And so many fun things happen when there's feasts. I mean, some of these feasts would go on for days and days, right? Can you imagine?
I can't wait to the banqueting table. It's going to
Yes,
be amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
So food is not bad. We have
That's
to have it
wonderful.
to live. It's wonderful. It's so great. It's just that we've attached these things like going out for ice cream with the family. You know, it's always after a ball game, or it's for an event. There's ice cream. So we think ice cream is going to fill us with great memories, which it can.
Yeah.
And we think ice cream is a fun food. So we associate fun when we have ice cream. There's a lot of times, though, that we eat ice cream that we don't feel so good afterward, or we're eating it at night when we shouldn't. Really, you should be done by 8 o'clock as kind of like the standard when you eat anything, unless it's maybe a hard-boiled egg or some cottage cheese or some protein, because that's going to refuel your body as you sleep. That ice cream, you know where that's going? Straight to the hips, right?
Through the lips and down the hips.
Right
Yep.
to it, yep. And because that has nothing, when your body is sleeping, it's regenerating itself. That is God's way of saying, okay, relax. And while your body is sleeping, so many things are going on. And the number one thing is that your body is healing itself and replenishing it and getting it ready for tomorrow. And God calls us to rest. We just don't do it enough, right? And of course, the average person is supposed to get 8 hours of sleep, which is good, but most of us don't. I try to. Do you try to get 8 hours of sleep?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a little thing that beeps on my phone, says time for bed.
Yes.
And it makes
I
a
love
huge
that.
difference when
Yeah.
you do. We're focused on that. I never was. Used to be the late night hours, but I don't do that anymore. It makes such a difference in the way I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
such a difference. More clarity of thought, even. You just don't.
My
have
age,
that
you need
much.
all the clarity you can get.
And my son, he's 18 now, and he loves to stay up till like 3 in the morning. And I do not know how they do this. I guess maybe I used to when I was younger, but truly, he lives in a fog when he's at school. And we tell him this all the time. Like, if you really just go to bed earlier, But he's like, I can't, my endorphins are going and all this is going on. But really, a lot of us, we can be on our phones really late at night.
And that can stir you up.
Yes. So blue or light actually reduces the melatonin, natural melatonin that we have in our bodies when there's light. And that's why God made it dark.
That's right.
So when it's dark outside, unless you live in Alaska, right? That when it's dark outside, it is time, your body naturally starts shutting down and your body is building melatonin in your body. And if you turn on this little blue light that's coming on, then that is restricting that to happen. So if you have a TV, computer, anything, if you have that, they roughly say 30 minutes before you go to bed, that is restricting you, especially if you're on social media before you go to bed and you're looking through.
It majorly affects you.
Look at this person. Look at they're having so much fun. And you know what's going in your mind right before you go to bed? All these things about other people that probably post things
right
that are all about their positives and their great life. And I mean, most people don't post pictures where their hair is not done. They don't post pictures of them fighting with their spouse or their kids being naughty or all these things on average, right? And so those thoughts are going in your mind and your heart before you go to bed, before you sleep, while your body's thinking of these things. Wouldn't it be much better to play a song, read a scripture, something that is going to be wholesome, that is going into your heart and your spirit before you go to bed? So there's another bonus. Okay, once you identify what you're having for breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, and sometimes snack, that is so key. And we know those are the average things that Kate has in her diet. So there's probably things like ice cream or chips, or, you know, like she said, you went on a vacation, that are going to be thrown in there. The key is not to throw them in there all the time.
Right.
Because when they do, if you have more calories at the end of the day than you burn, that you want to purchase. Okay, but if you don't eat them every day, like we have butter at our house because I have 6 children, and butter is okay. It's a high-fat food. And you probably have heard of keto dieting, where it's high-fat, low-carb. So you're going to have fats and proteins and not as much carbohydrates. Okay, so that is a great way to live. Or the paleo diet, they have lower carb diets, more high-fat, more proteins. Okay, great way. We are very we're carbaholics, right? Okay,
we love it.
We love
starch.
So with the organics, butter, we eat a lot of butter. So I'm going to buy grass-fed organic because we eat that every day. All right. Now coffee, I'm going to buy organic coffee because I drink that every day. Except, you know what? When I had the flu this last week, I cannot stomach coffee yet.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Yeah. My gut.
The acid.
So I typically, after you have some type of an illness, you're going to probably need to reset your gut, especially if you have, you know, the coming out there. But even just from the flu, a good thing to do would be to eat some fermented foods or a probiotic or something to replace, so your gut flora gets established.
Yeah.
Yep. So if there's something that you're eating every single day, that is what you're supposed to buy organic. Okay, so
that's very interesting.
There's also lists out there that you can find, like the top 10 foods to buy organic. And really, I love the naturopath Mercola, drmercola.com. If you're not on the newsletter, I would get on his newsletter free. He is a naturopath physician, and he is a lot, and he can get a little, you know, out there, you know, as some of them. He's
excited about what he
does.
He's
so excited. He's passionate. But it makes sense. He tells you the science behind some of these things, which is fabulous. And he has a huge team that's researching constantly. So it's very, very good content. And he's not so over the top where you're like, whoa, I don't even know what that food is, right? So on some of these things, they have listed what the main things are to eat organic. And he said the number one thing, if you're going to buy anything organic, is dairy, because it's that contaminated.
Wow, that's so good to know.
I was like, over
organic
meat,
dairy.
Dairy. So with us, we drink, I think, 8 gallons of milk. I'm like, there's no way drinking 8 gallons of milk a week that I can afford organic. But I realize that my kids have it in their cereal more so, right? Or they're going to put protein powder in their milk. So we're not like just downing milk constantly, because you can still get lots of things. Like one of my daughters is a little lactose intolerant. So instead of drinking milk, she eats broccoli. Okay. So there's differences that you can do. Just look up the nutritional content and find another food that you can have. And so with all of that, I'm like, okay, what is the second thing? So if you eat yogurt every day, buy organic yogurt. If you have butter every day, buy organic butter.
Stays consistent.
Okay, so that's if you're having it every day. If you're just having yogurt like once or twice a week, not as big of a deal, because we know that organics can get expensive. So put your money where you're consuming every day. The next thing on the list was meat. Now this is before fruits and vegetables. Meat. Okay, so meat can be very expensive organic. Okay, and
grass-fed,
and grass-fed is more important. It has more vitamin K and just more nutrients in it that are better for you. But we live in Iowa, so if I were to tell somebody to stop drinking milk or having beef, I'm almost assaulted immediately.
You're having a Midwest breakdown.
Okay, because this is like the bread and butter of Iowa. So, but you can still have it organic, right? I buy it. It's not organic, but sometimes we buy grass-fed. And the people that I buy it from are our local farmers. And so we buy what's called a cow. Some of my friends
buy a cow.
Some of my friends thought that was weird.
Quarter of a cow, half a
quarter
cow.
of a cow. You stick it in
the freezer.
It's all processed.
It is.
Not processed.
It's great to have on hand.
We just fill our freezers with it, and it's great. And it's local. And so my farmer friend, the Von Munsters, they have it they're on a hill, and there's not a lot of groundwater, just all that stuff. So it's very healthy. He grows his own corn and doesn't spray it. So his, everything that we're getting, I know where it's coming from.
That's so awesome.
But I realize not everybody has that ability. So if you're eating meat every day, that's where I would spend your money. Okay. Now, if you're only having it every once in a while because you're having other forms of protein, beans, nuts, you're having it from dairy, you're having it from protein powder, right? Then those would be your things to put your money in. After that is fruit. Okay? Organic fruit. And there are lists that you can find. I'm sure you can find some on Pinterest and different things where it just says the fleshy ones are the most important to buy organic. So that would be your berries are the most important thing to buy. They actually absorb up to 97% of the pesticides. Strawberries do.
Wow, that's so good,
Sarah. That is so huge. So when you think about that, that makes a huge difference if you're going to have that every day.
No kidding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Broccoli does not need to be organic. It barely takes anything out of the nutrients are kind of, it's like almost as this block. So there's different foods that you can buy, and we could, talk forever on that, but I want to keep going. And
put some things in the Facebook for you guys.
We'll put some things in there that kind of just say, apples are very important to buy. So if you're going to buy apple sauce, buy that organic because that really leaches in a lot. Peaches, pears, different things that are like really thin on their flesh. So just food for thought. If you're going to buy organic, those are the most important things to purchase organic. Okay. So as we're going about our meal, the next thing that we come to is going to be in the book is the nutrition facts label. Most people know how to read this, but there's 2 major things that I want to tell you that most people skip over. Okay, so I just grabbed something out of Kate's cabinet.
We've been there for a year,
and it's actually a fine product. Okay, but you can also follow along in the book. There is a nutrition label in there, and that's on page 289. So you can look at that too. And the most important thing whenever you buy anything, and I'll tell you that you are going to know this in 30 seconds, and you're going to be so happy. At the top, it's going to say the nutrition facts. Okay, you're going to look at the calories. Okay, so on this, it says 160 calories. And then if you scroll over and just kind of look right over and just move your finger over, it's going to say calories from fat. Okay, that is the most important thing right there. So if you were to look at the nutrition facts label in the book, it's going to say calories are 250. Okay, and it doesn't say calories from fat on this because it's just in the book. But that is huge. If you look at a gallon of milk, that's 1% or 2%. 2% is kind of funny, you guys, and I think that's in the book. If you look, it's going to tell you, 140 calories are from milk and you look over calories from fat, it's going to say 38%.
Wow.
And so you're like, I'm drinking 2% milk, but it's really, I can't remember now, 38% or 48% fat. So you're like, all you have to do is take calories. So this says 160. Calories from fat are 20. Okay, so obviously you just divide that out and you're going to see how many calories are from fat, right? So if 2% milk is really 38% fat, and it says 2% milk, that's where it throws people. That's where as consumers, we are totally fleeced. Do you know what the 2% in the milk means? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't.
The 2% is how much the fat weighs. It weighs 2% of the jug.
Oh my goodness, that's what it is. That's so interesting.
Oh, right? And so we think we are drinking milk that only has 2% fat out of 100%. All you got to do is look at the nutrition label and it will tell you. And so that's where we're like, oh. So if you see something that says 2 servings per container, okay? And let's say it's a box of mac and cheese and you're going to make macaroni and cheese and it's 2 servings. A serving is going to be a cup. Well, we know that growing up, sometimes our moms would feed us macaroni and cheese, and that was the only thing we'd have for dinner.
Kraft macaroni and cheese, yeah.
Yeah, it's Kraft macaroni and cheese dinner. And sometimes we would have carrots or something, and we'd call it the orange dinner tray because everything's orange. Well, we wouldn't just have 1 cup of macaroni and cheese. You would just...
You scrape the pan.
Yeah, you were eating like 2 cups, right? But we think, 1 cup, it's only 160 calories, but we're not really eating 1 cup, right? Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Our serving sizes are whacked. When we go to say, if I eat 5 crackers, it's only 200 calories. Are you really only eating 5 crackers? Right? Because I know Oreos, they can be 2 or 3 for a serving. Nobody eats 2 or 3 Oreos, like, especially if you're talking, because we have this motion, right?
And we have the chewing motion.
Yeah. Right. And so that is the most important thing about a nutrition label. Of course, you're going to have other things in there. As if you're a diabetic, you have to pay attention to the carbohydrates and the sugars, obviously, and you'll know that. But you can also see how much sodium you need and all these things. At the bottom, there's a footnote, and those footnotes are going to tell you what the average person eats. So if you look right here, this little thing at the bottom is called the footnote. And it's going to say the average person should have 2,000 calories. That's kind of wrong, okay? Most women, we do consume 2,000 calories, but we shouldn't, right? Okay, and so that's the next section coming up. But for the average, 2,000 calories is what it shows you, and it says, you're supposed to have less than 65 grams of fat. It says that you're supposed to have less than 300 milligrams of cholesterol, things like that. So this is a good little tool at the bottom to be like, okay, this says calories 2,000. If I'm only supposed to have 1,500 calories, then I'm supposed to have less than at the bottom of this thing. So this might not be a good food for me if it's blowing out my sodium levels with 1 product, okay? Okay, now you can read more of that on 289. So moving on, meal planning step 3, which is 290, this is huge. This is identifying how many calories you need. Mm-hmm. And most people don't know that. But the easiest thing to do to figure out how many calories you need is to use an app. And they've made these apps so accessible and free. I use myfitnesspal.com. Mm-hmm. You can use loseit.com or myplate.gov. There's lots of programs. I'm sure there's more out there now. MyFitnessPal, I think, teamed up with Under Armour. I think Under Armour purchased that not long ago. And what you do is you make a free account. It's so easy. And you have to get a password and a username and all that. Once you do that, you plug in your weight, your height, your age. And then from there, that tells you, it kind of spits out a generic caloric count that you need to have. Now, you can also go further and say, this is how much I weigh and this is how much I want to weigh. Mm-hmm. And the best part about myfitnesspal.com, and you can do this on your computer or your phone or your tablets, the best thing about that is that it is also going to tell you you can't lose more than 2 pounds per week to be healthy. And we kind of talked about that last week a little bit, that if you lose 3 or 4 pounds in the first week, great. Some people have even lost 10, great. But over your journey of like 6 weeks or 10 weeks or 12 weeks, it needs to average out to about 2 pounds. Otherwise, you're losing too aggressively and you're going to have extra skin or all that blood water and everything is going to go somewhere. And so you don't want to tax your heart too hard. So the safe rule is 2 pounds a week on average. Okay. So if you're exercising or reducing calories, that is the main thing. Okay. So once, and in that app, it's going to tell you, okay, this is how many calories you need to have per day. It is also, I love it because there's a safeguard in it, because you can't have under 1,200 calories. It will say, you can't eat under 1,200 calories. And that, in my license, I can't tell anybody to eat under 1,200 calories either. A physician can, because they know your body and all the blood work and everything with that. And so they can tell you that. But I don't mess with all the blood stuff. So to be safe, the average person shouldn't eat under 1,200 calories on a consistent basis. You will just lose too much. You need fat for your brain stem, your nerve endings, things to function, your hormones. You need protein for your muscles.
Yeah.
You need carbohydrates for energy. You can't not eat carbohydrates.
Right.
You have to have a balance. And it comes to balance, right?
It comes to balance.
What
and
else comes to balance?
Our time.
There's so many things that we can remember about. So once you figure out your calories, this is huge. You're going to connect how many calories you have to those 20 foods that you normally eat.
Yeah.
And then your serving size. So what kind of foods are you eating? Healthy foods, okay? Or you're replacing them. So I had a client who ate those little circle pre-made peanut butter and jelly pockets.
Ooh.
7 a day, okay?
Oh.
Yes. So they were eating 7 a day. And I said, you know what? How about we go down to 5 just for a couple days? Then we're going to go down to 3, then 2, and then slowly cut it out. So if you were like, ooh, I don't eat a lot of vegetables and thing, and I'm just going to go hog wild, and you are going to be so hangry.
That's right.
So it's okay to just kind of like maybe a drug addict or someone who is hooked on things. If you are hooked on food, sometimes it's not advisable to just cold turkey and do it. Just like, they have the patches with people who smoke.
Right.
It's okay to gradually do it. And that's why they have I have a nutrition challenge in there. Just pick one thing, maybe drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or just try to eat more vegetables. If you're eating more vegetables, there's fiber in there, which is going to make your belly fuller, because fiber makes you full. And so then you're not going to be as hungry.
Right.
Okay. So then maybe you're not as hungry. So then you reduce your sugars, you reduce your food. So it's okay to go slow. It's fine.
Little by little.
Little by little.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. And so in those apps that you have, what's really neat is you can put in, I had 1 cup of macaroni and cheese. And if you don't know if you've had a cup or not, there's food scales, or just measure out your food.
Yeah.
And if you measure out your food 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 days.
You know how to do it.
You don't have to measure it anymore.
No.
I know exactly what a cup of oatmeal looks like in my bowl. And I don't ever have to do that again. And that education is valuable, because some people think they're having a half a cup and it's a whole cup.
Or 2.
Yes. And then all of a sudden you're like, why am I not losing weight? I'm
eating all the right things.
Just a half a cup.
Too much of it.
Yeah, too much. And there's your solution.
Yeah.
So, so tracking your calories is huge. It's completely huge. If you can track your calories. Now, some people think it's too monotonous and they're like, I cannot do that. Then that's where you just kind of monitor how much you're eating on your own. But even if you track your calories, and some of you might be doing Weight Watchers with points, great.
Yes.
Continue to do that.
Do it.
Fine. Okay. So people who are not, these on the back of most foods is calories. And so that's why I teach calories, because not everybody has points and not everybody is signed up for Weight Watchers. But if that is working for you, just keep going and rocking it, girl. Yeah. That's what we got to do. Okay. The last thing we're just going to do on page 292 is the meal planning step 4. And this one just goes through and you're just making your own meal plan. You can circle all the fruits and vegetables that you like. And there's a list in here. So you might find some that you've never, you're like, oh, turnips? I forgot about those. I like those. Brussels sprouts. I haven't had those in a long time. I really haven't.
Have you? I love those things.
I love them. Oh,
and I've seen ginger here. And one thing that's really great in your water, if you drinking water is hard for you, is just cut up some lemon and grate some ginger in it and throw some cucumbers in it. It is amazing. The water tastes fabulous and it makes you feel like you're having a special treat. It just, there's so much you can do with some of this stuff and throw it in your water that really is so tasty.
And I could spend an hour talking about spices and gingers and all these different things and adding stuff to your water. And
it's so good.
It is the spice of life.
It's the spice of life. That's right. It's getting better and better.
It is. So then you're just going to go through, you're going to circle what kind of meats you like. You're going to circle what kind of dairy or nuts or seeds. And those, it kind of gives you an idea of like, oh, I forgot about sunflower seeds. I like them. Or almonds. I like that.
Walnuts, yeah.
And walnuts, yeah. So it just goes through and it just kind of does that. And then you put it all together. And then you just kind of make a plan. And it has this in here. If you don't want to do that, there's some pre-made meal plans in here for you. There's 4-day plans, there's 3-day plans, there's 1-day plan. There's plans for lactose intolerant, people who may be vegan, people who need to eat gluten-free, different things. So those are in there and you can adjust and just kind of go through those. There's also recipes in the back, but there's one little hidden thing at the back that I wanted to make sure you knew was the dinner planning tips. And that's on page 321 because there's a lot of resources in here. Sometimes, probably more times than not, we'll come home and the kids will say, "What's for dinner?" And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know what to make tonight. Yeah.
No, I mean, you know why? Because we're tired.
Right.
We've had a long day. And I'm like, oh, dinner. Right? And here's something that's super important. Like you said for breakfast, you have smoothie or eggs almost every day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a bar protein bar.
Or a bar protein bar.
Yeah.
So you basically have 3 options, right? I usually do too. Okay. Then for lunch, you usually have a salad.
Salad or,
okay.
Yeah, if I'm out, I'll have salad with protein.
Right?
Or, yeah.
So far that tells me that you're eating basically the same kind of foods for breakfast and lunch. You know what that makes us do for dinner? We want something totally different, right?
Yeah, we do.
We do. And so then that puts pressure on mom or wife to be like, I have to make something different. My kids that basically eat the same thing in their lunches all the time. We kind of eat the same things for breakfast. And so there's this pressure to build, to make something different. Okay. So there's this list on page 321 and 322 that will help you with that. And it basically just says, if you want to do something simple, every Monday you are going to have crock pot meal. Every Tuesday you're having tacos. Every Wednesday it is whatever. Anybody can go get whatever they want, you know?
Yeah.
Thursdays is leftovers, out to eat Friday, order in on Saturday, and families sit down on Sunday, okay? Now, let's say, okay, families sit down on Sunday, what am I gonna make? Oh, if you look down on the chart, there is things on the grill, meats, soups, baked things, the night before, stovetop, salads, crockpot. So I'm just looking, do I want pulled chicken, pulled beef, roast vegetables, spaghetti, meatballs? Oh, that sounds good. And so there's your list.
It's easy.
It's easy. So it's an idea list that can help you. So when someone's like, what are we having for dinner? Go pick something off the list, right?
Thursday night teriyaki chicken.
There you go, right? So then you are
no Friday night fish sticks. So.
Yeah.
We used to have those growing up.
Oh yeah. We used to have Saturday night pop and popcorn. That was like our snack, you know. So I hope some of these tidbits helped enhance your book, the book, and that it will just kind of solidify some of the questions that you've had and kind of just go through there. The one thing we want to leave you guys with is this is the last live video that we're going to be doing, at least for right now. Mm-hmm. And next week is week 5, and it talks about righteousness, the breastplate of righteousness. Mm-hmm. And then the week after that combines with it is all about emotional health. Mm-hmm. So we're going to pop videos up here, hopefully every Tuesday. They might not be live. We understand people can't get here all the time live. Right. And it's a commitment, but you can come back anytime. And while you're going through this, you can just click on the title where it will say, you know, righteousness or emotional health or mental health. And we're going to pop some videos in here just to encourage you along the way. And did you have something to say?
No, I was just going to say too, is if you have questions, please put your questions in there so we can answer anything you have. And, you know, we want to support you. We want to launch you here. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm. But now once you're launched, we're still here. If you have a question, we're making ourselves available to that for you as coaches. And that's free. I mean, you know, people pay us to do these things for them. But we want to offer this group to really take this arming yourself for fit and faithful living and letting you get a hold of it and share it with others and others share it with others. So what God gave Sarah can really just expand and grow and make a difference and an impact in the world in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah. So we thank you for joining us, and we're excited to keep the communication going and just the excitement going for you guys. So if you do have questions, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you next time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Let's see. There. Okay. Do you want to stop the cloud recording?